Welcome back to Growth Kick Sessions podcast episode 4. And today I finally have someone to do the podcast with me, and she is my marketing director, Cheryl. And before we get into the real stuff today, how about Cheryl? You share with us how did you get involved in digital marketing in the first place?
Well, basically, from what I can remember, it was, I think, about 10, 11 years back when I was just starting out in university. I was looking for a part-time job to get some income. And from there, I sort of found a job to write content. So that makes me a content writer. And the content that we write, it will have to rank for Google, to rank for the website. So I was exposed to SEO from there, which it sort of piqued my interest. And upon graduation, I was also mentored by a digital marketing, and my first job is also in a digital marketing agency. So I picked up all of my skills and experience from there. Yeah.
I know you. That's why you're my partner. But this is a good introduction to most of the new audience that watching our podcast or even listening to our podcast. But Cheryl, I have a very crucial question. After so many years of practicing digital marketing in our industry, agencies serving so many clients, but do you really trust digital marketing? The reason why I'm asking this is because it seems like most of the industry leaders and even our clients doesn't seem to be trusting much, about digital marketing.
I'm not sure how you would like me to reply that because you're putting me in a very difficult situation. Of course, I would say that it really depends on the context, right? Digital marketing is important, and digital marketing, it has given us many different ways to reach out to our audience, to our target customers in a much more cost-efficient way, I would say. So if you compare it to traditional marketing, the cost there, it is very high, but it's not to say that it's not effective, So from my point of view is that digital marketing works. You can't let go of traditional as well. So you got to find a balance in between. And which is why from the marketing team, our initiative this year is to help our clients achieve omni-channel presence through both online, which is of course where we're strong at, as well as offline.
Okay. No, I think now you just mentioned about digital marketing and traditional marketing. So let's understand the basic about these two first. Can you briefly explain to us what is the main difference between digital marketing and traditional marketing?
Traditional marketing and digital marketing. I think if you ask this question to a lot of people, they may have varying responses, varying answers. And I think the main difference for me is how much is measurable. So in terms of traditional marketing, when you're talking about TV, you're talking about newspapers, magazine, publishing, or even a billboard, for example. You can more or less get an estimate, right? From the publishers, they will tell that, oh, you're getting this number of eyeballs, you are probably getting this number of circulations, but how impactful is your message? Unless you maybe add like what Ogilvy used to do is that there was this newspaper section and then there was this campaign, and then they included this little box in the newspaper, and if people cut that out and redeem, then they track those results from that. Otherwise, how much of impressions you're getting, well, you don't really know. And with digital, these things are made more measurable because, well, essentially we are all tracked through the profiles that we sign up, through the devices that we use, and so on and so forth. So I think the one key difference here between traditional and digital is definitely the measurement part.
Okay. I'm actually wondering, is it because of the measurement or the tracking part? Sidetrack a little bit. Most of our clients will demand more when it comes to digital marketing. And whenever they invest in digital marketing, they are looking for 100% ROI, 100% return. Well, just make me wonder. But you don't have to answer that to, safeguard you. But yeah. So Cheryl, let's talk about a little bit more about digital marketing. So to us or to you, how does the cost of digital marketing compare to traditional marketing? And is one more accessible to small businesses than the other? Because traditional marketing actually involves in billboard, road shows, events. But do you think this is something for small businesses to kickstart and straight away invest a big chunk in this area?
Yeah, good question. Definitely, digital marketing is more accessible to smaller businesses, and if you pay attention to Meta or Google, even TikTok, they focus a lot on small businesses as well because their platforms are essentially having much lower barriers and much lower investments compared to the traditional billboards. Probably you start from 100 over 1,000 ringgit a month, and even you're talking about TV commercials, that's going to cost you even more. And for small businesses, cash flow is very important, So when you're able to test things out on digital marketing to find out what works, it would definitely be more cost efficient and probably more cost effective for small businesses as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And it is also a good place for you to test out whether it really works, whether your messaging, your marketing messaging really works. Are you really targeting the right audience? And does your creative work? And if it does, then it will probably make more sense to replicate this into your other traditional channels as well to cover broader audiences.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sounds pretty makes sense. But I would like to ask.
I mean, if it doesn't make sense, you can always, ask further questions
have
or
to,
clarify.
have to. But I just want to know more, through my question to you so that our audience can also understand better. Just now you mentioned that, digital marketing is something trackable and also measurable, right? So I guess this is actually fall under some of the data analytics part, data tracking part, right? So how do data and analytics play a role in the effectiveness of digital versus traditional marketing? So do you also mean that traditional marketing is not trackable at all?
I wouldn't say it's not trackable at all. I mean, you may be able to track to some extent. I mean, technology is advanced. There are measurement solutions out there where you can tap into to actually track the effectiveness or impact of your TV commercials. So that can definitely be done. But with that said, it comes again with much more additional costs because these measurement solutions are usually not going to be cheap. And if you're talking about, I mean, even if when it comes to digital, you have a lot of custom data points to track, of course, that would also increase the cost because your solutions become tailored and customized to your business. But if that investment makes sense and you are able to improve your marketing strategy or plan based on that, then it would make it worthwhile investing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So after we have discussed all this, right? Do you mean that we should just go with digital marketing without traditional marketing?
No, that's not the point. So, like what I mentioned earlier, is that marketing is to be where your audience is, showing up to them, making sure that the awareness is sustained so that when they are in the journey of discovery, in the journey of buying, you can influence their decision through marketing, right? And people are not just, on online,
Yeah.
right? They are also they have a life outside of the online world. They have a life offline where they go to work, where they commute, and when they even talk to friends and stuff like that. So there are many other things that you still need to take into consideration when you're planning out your marketing, and that's why we are also trying to focus more on omni-channel
Mm-hmm.
rather than just digital, even though that's where our strength is
Yep.
at. And when it comes to digital, what we are trying to do and to help our clients to improve is also to humanize their digital so that we are able to connect more for our clients' brands with their target audience. Because if everybody is shouting the same thing, sale, 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 over and over again, it's not going to make much difference between you and the rest of the brands who are actually doing something differently by trying to connect with their audience. If you look at the trend around, a lot of B2B, even B2C, they are shifting their focus on brand building, because how else will you stand out if you're only talking about features?
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I agree with that. So, do you mean that when you talk about omni-channel, it does also link to something what we call the consumer or customer journey? Do you mind to, explain a little bit about this?
I'm not quite sure I get your question. Would you mind elaborating a little bit more?
Because when you talk about omni-channel, I believe that we need a little bit of elaboration about omni-channel.
All
So
right.
how does it affect the customer journey that planned by a brand?
I think this one is just about the omnichannel, right?
Yeah,
So,
omni-channel.
the context here is that the customer journey has definitely evolved to become more complex than what we used to know. It's no longer just a straight line. It can be a very messy thing in between that you have to navigate. And how omnichannel works is that you are trying to address these touch points where the consumers or the customers are at, and then feed them with the relevant content so that your messages become timely and relevant. It will actually resonate more with the audience as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So nowadays, with different touch points, you can't just throw the same message or the same content out, because if it doesn't resonate, people don't remember you, and there are just too many things, too many other brands out there as well who is vying for the user's attention. And if you don't make yourself stand out from trying to connect with them, then it probably wouldn't work as well.
Okay, sounds cool. Sounds cool. So before we wrap up the podcast session today, so my last question for you, Cheryl, it's that have you ever encountered any of the or some of the common misconceptions that people might have towards digital marketing?
And by some misconceptions, may I know what you're referring to?
Well, that is up to you. How do you define that?
Right. I think one very common misconception that a lot of people have towards digital marketing is that they think digital marketing is dirt cheap. You can spend peanuts and then you can probably get sky. I mean, this is something that I've experienced a lot. I've come across a lot. Many different questions asking me, right? I don't have that kind of budget, Oh, can I still do this, but with a much lower budget, that kind of thing. And obviously, from my end, is that this is my personal opinion. I would say your customers, your prospects, they aren't exactly dumb. How much effort you actually put into your marketing, they can also feel it, right? So if you're actually not spending the effort to connect with them, to create something meaningful to get their attention, why should they spare you their attention? Attention is one of the most important currency nowadays.
Yep.
Okay, so for me is that yes, digital marketing can be more cost effective because you are seeing how it impacts results as well directly. Even though when you're talking about branding kind of campaigns, branding activations online, you may not see immediate returns, but you're actually building a brand. I mean, why is Apple valued so much? Or is Google valued so much? It's not just because of the tangible things, it's also the intangible things that you can't see that is behind a brand. So honestly speaking, if you don't really spend the effort and you really don't invest in building a brand, why should customers care?
Yeah, I actually agree with you. There's one very powerful words that you just said that it's really, customers are not, easily being distracted, or nowadays people are very much educated because of the social media, all the digital platforms, and so many brands, and even businesses are trying to catch the attention. So it's down to how much efforts a brand or a company or even an entity, even a personnel that you have, tried to invest in and build a strong and impact. Okay, so thank you, Cheryl, for your time today with me. And I think this session is pretty meaningful. And if you find this podcast is helpful and able to share with you some of the insights that you have been, looking up and down, because whatever we share is not just theoretical based, but it's also whatever we have been through in the industry experience. So, yep, remember to follow and subscribe. And if you would like to listen to more insight stuff, just stay tuned for the next podcast session. Thank you.